Damen und Herren, Ladies and Gentlemen, good evening and welcome back zurück im Ring zum nächsten Duell des Abends. Ein Duell der schweren Jungs. Und hier kommen die beiden Boxer. Making his way to the red corner. In die rote Ecke aus Großbritannien, Michael Sprott.
This is Michael Sprott, the former British Commonwealth heavyweight champion. 56 pro fights. A lot of losses in recent years, but he's always willing to be an opponent. 7-9 in his last 16 fights over 6 years, but he has lost to Corey Sanders and Ruslan Chagayev, Lemon Brewster.
He's generally lost when he's supposed to lose. And tonight's an example of that kind of an occasion.
But he did surprise in December against Edmund Gerber, winning a majority decision in Nuremberg. No one thought he had a chance to win that fight.
Well, we both had to sit through Gerber's fight tonight, where he got a decision he didn't deserve. So it may also be that Gerber's not quite all that.
He was knocked out in 9 rounds by Kubrat Pulev in January of 2012. And Pulev is a guy we talked about as an up-and-comer in the heavyweight division.
You know, you can't really say Helenius needs a knockout, but it sure would be nice to revitalize his career for him to get a good-looking knockout tonight.
If he ever needed one, it was tonight.
I agree.
If not, he's got to be active from the opening bell and no charade in terms of standing there and waiting to come in and throw some jabs. There's Michael Sprott.
Well, I'm impressed that Sprott walked out to Easy E.
Pretty smooth, huh?
Sein Gegner macht sich nun auf den Weg in die blaue Ecke. The blue corner, Robert, the Nordic Nightmare, Helenius. Dieser Kampf im Schwergewicht ist auf 10 Runden angesetzt. Supervisor ist FVA-Präsident Willibald Palatin aus Wien, Österreich. Geht dieser Fight über die volle Distanz, dann entscheiden diese 3 Punktrichter. The 3 officials scoring this bout at ringside are Norbert Dürnberger aus Steyr, Österreich, Jörg Minke, zu Hause in Cottbus, Deutschland, und Rainer Schwarz, ebenfalls aus Steyr, Österreich. Wenn die Glocke ertönt, hat nur noch dieser Mann das letzte Wort im Ring. Es ist Ringrichter Ingo Barabas aus Egenhausen, Deutschland. Und das sind sie, die Details zu den beiden Kontrahenten. Introducing the fighter in the red corner, die rote Ecke mit dem Mann aus Großbritannien in weiß und blauen Trunks. Er ist 38 Jahre alt, offizielles Kampfgewicht. Ganz genau 110,3 Kilogramm, 1,87 Meter ist er groß. Es ist sein 18. Jahr als Profiboxer mit dieser Statistik. 56 Kämpfe, 37 Siege, 17 davon durch Knockout. Sein Coach James Evans from Reading, Berkshire, United Kingdom, Michael "The Heart" Sprott. Across the ring in the blue corner, wearing white trunks, die blaue Ecke mit dem Boxer aus dem Sauerlandsteam. Er ist 29 Jahre alt. Sein Kampfgewicht 108,6 Kilogramm. Genau 2 Meter ist er groß. Profi seit dem Jahr 2008 mit dieser Bilanz. 18 Kämpfe, 18 Siege, 11 Mal durch Knockout. Sein Trainer Ole Wegner. Geboren in Stockholm, Schweden, mit finnischem Pass, lebt und trainiert er in Berlin, Deutschland. Der Ex-Europameister und Nummer 1 der WBO-Weltrangliste, former European Heavyweight Champion, Robert "The Nordic Nightmare" Helenius. Wer wird diesen Kampf jetzt für sich entscheiden? Michael Sprott oder Robert Helenius? Die Antwort, die gibt's jetzt aus Magdeburg.
Michael, Robert. You know the rules. Follow my commands. Protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves. Good luck to both of you.
Well, it's almost an hour, but we are pleased to present the Robert Helenius Michael Sprott fight. 10 rounds in the heavyweight division here in G-Tech Arena in Magdeburg, Germany. The local sanctioning body is the Austrian Boxing Commission, but the rules are according to the European Boxing Commission. 10-point must system. 3 judges score the fight. No standing 8 count. No 3 knockdown rule. A boxer cannot be saved by the bell in any round. And quickly, you saw a little bit of difficulty there with Michael Sprott. But our referee, Ingo Barabas, quickly got him straightened out. Helenius landing a right hand and follows it up with a left hook. And the Nordic Nightmare has come out busier than we have seen him in 3 fights.
Good start for Helenius.
Doubling up on the jab, 3 jabs. And that's what we said was the key for Helenius, and we haven't seen it in a year or 2.
He's keeping Sprott at a distance. He's pacing the fight at his pace right now.
He's got the huge height advantage. Sprott 6'1.5", Helenius 6'6.5". And he's just peppering away with that jab.
I'd like to see him push Sprott back as he's jabbing him. You know, use that jab, push him across the ring. Assert your physical strength.
I've seen this a lot from Helenius, where he jabs where he's not stepping into his punches, Lou.
His jab would be that much more effective, that much more powerful if he stepped into it and came forward.
There's a right hand by Helenius.
He's controlling this round with the jab. Just followed up with a nice right hand. Double jab.
And there's Helenius, a little bit of a short left. And to the body with the right hand. And that right hand was bothering him because of the surgery, and he had hurt the right hand in the Chisora fight. And in his last fight, I don't think he wanted to use it much against Sherman Williams. He was tentative, but not tonight.
No, not at all tonight. In fact, this is the best Helenius I've seen in a couple of years.
And Williams is not the same guy that Sprott is, but Sprott is just not putting up. He's not throwing many punches, Lou.
And he's eating a lot of them. And by the way, if he keeps eating them like this, we're going to have another short fight here.
Sprott throws a feeble shot to the body. It looks like he's on tape delay right now, Michael Sprott. Now he goes to the body upstairs. He lands a good right hand. Maybe playing coy here in the early going.
Well, he was dry when he walked into the ring, and that, maybe he wasn't properly warmed up. I don't know. That was the best punch of the fight that he threw there.
And now they're trading some punches. Helenius counters nicely.
And Helenius' face is sort of red on the left side already. He's got a bit of a mouse starting below his eye. I don't know where that came from. Maybe that punch.
Helenius jabbing away. Finally, Sprott woke up. And you're right, I see the redness
underneath his left eye.
Yep. So it looked like it might be a fast fight. It might end right there, and all of a sudden Sprott woke up.
Well, that was Helenius' round, clearly. Though Sprott sort of asserted himself a little bit the last 45 seconds or so of the round.
Du musst immer in Führung sein, hast du gemerkt? So ist es gut. Mit der Führung sein, locker arbeiten. Und wenn du gehst nach rechts rüber und dann kommt die rechte rüber.
All right, here's the end of the round.
And this is a good exchange here.
Aber wieder ruhig.
There we go. Nice right hand by Sprott.
Nicht überpesen. Du merkst dasselbe, wenn du führst, nicht?
That's the voice of Oli Wegner.
Aufpassen, der kommt schon mal zwischendurch, ja? Atmen, atmen. Hopp.
There's a look at Adam Booth, who's the trainer, manager for George Groves. David Hay, among others. Second round, Helenius starting out again with the jab, and now a short left hook from Sprott. And he's gotten a little bit of confidence. He lands a right hand upstairs. Here are the numbers from the first round. Helenius missed a lot of punches, but he threw 72, which is good activity for him. Sprott better percentage, landed only 9. And there are the jabs. Helenius with 19 in the first round. That's a good indication of where he wants to take this fight.
Yeah, it'd be nice if he followed those jabs up with some, power punches. And again, I'd like to see him advance more forward. I'd like to see him fight forward. Push Sprott back. There we go. Nice body shot.
And he caught Sprott off balance as well. Here it is, doubling up with a jab, throwing a third one.
And that's where you'd like to see the big right hand follow those jabs.
It was the right hand that Helenius hurt in the first round of the Chisora fight. And the shoulder injury was suffered in training for that fight. And that's subsequently which forced surgery.
Right now, this is the jab fest for Helenius.
Yeah, where are the combinations? There it is.
There we go. And Sprott shakes his head no, what usually means yes, I felt that.
Helenius chopping with that left hand after throwing the jab. Not really a hook, just a little short left hand.
Stop! No holding. Box!
Back to the body.
You mentioned it earlier, Bruce, but he throws a lot of those jabs flat-footed. When he comes forward, when he steps into the jab, he actually snaps a nice jab. But for a big guy, too many of those jabs are thrown flat-footed or on his back foot.
Less power.
Exactly.
Here comes Sprott, trying to land that left hook. Helenius counters with a right hand. That's the punch I'd like to see more from Helenius.
And he sets it up well with that, that left jab that constantly in Sprott's face. He has that ability to follow that jab with the right hand. He just got to do it more often.
That jab is ever present, though, in this fight.
Well, he's doing what he's supposed to do. He's fighting tall.
And going to the body there with the right hand. And Sprott playing some games there as the second round comes to an end. Marco Huck, world champion, one of many world champions that is in attendance tonight. We've seen Marco Huck on Epics, WBO Cruiserweight champion, 34-2-1. Who lost to Alexander Povetkin on Epics back in February of 2012. Sven Ottke, Jürgen Bremer, Johan Pablo Hernandez, Henry Masca, a great champion in the past. And Graciano Rocky Johnny, he's here too.
Schön überlegt boxen. Das schön einteilen. Dann wieder rausgehen.
This event, a Sauerland event in Germany. Glad you could join us here in Magdeburg. As we head to the third round, I gave Helenius that round easily too. Did you, Lou?
Yeah, it was clear. Now, is he blowing me out of my seat? Not yet.
No. Third man in the ring is Ingo Barabas of Germany. And there's a short little hook from Sprott.
You know, interestingly, despite how many jabs he's eaten, he hasn't taken any real punishment so far. You know, there were a couple of decent combinations that were landed by Helenius, but I don't think Helenius has hurt Sprott enough to discourage him from trying to do some damage.
CompuBox punches through 2 rounds. Clearly Helenius with the lead, although Sprott's been more efficient. But 172 punches thrown, that'll usually win you rounds with the judges. Through 2 rounds, 172. He landed 43 of them.
And I'm gonna guess the majority of them were jabs.
I think you're right. And there's a jab to the body. I don't know how much damage that's going to do.
No, in fact, I don't like that at all, because when you throw a jab to the body, you leave yourself open for a big right hand from your opponent. It's not a smart move.
Now there's the jabs upstairs.
In fact, that kind of jab with a Klitschko, have you on your ass.
Helenius is still trying to figure out Sprott.
Just get hit with a little bit of a right hand.
He's a little bit awkward, and he's trying to throw bombs. I don't blame him, because he's probably not going to win a decision.
Now, he knows he's not going to win a decision, and his only chance is to hurt Helenius, and that's what he's going to try to do.
Even if it means, you know, putting himself in a position where he can be KO'd.
Yeah, even if it means that. And honestly, despite the frequency with which Helenius has landed so far, he hasn't done enough to get the respect of Sprott to cause Sprott to start fighting backwards.
Nor the boxing community. He started out fast in the first round.
Look, he's showing you what he has in his arsenal. He has skill. He has a lot of skill. He's got a tremendous jab when he uses it right, when he's on his front foot with his weight and putting his weight in the right place. He's got a great jab. He can follow it up with a right hand. He's obviously a physical specimen. There's something missing, though.
Whether it's fire or desire, I don't know. But Sprott leaves himself open to a big right hand when he comes lunging in there, and Helenius, I think, has to be willing to throw that punch. 20 seconds to go in round 3. Tempo is slowed down. Helenius scores with that left hand. There's an uppercut. But Sprott keeping it in his mind that he can still go after him with a big punch like that one.
And you know, that didn't land flush, but that was a nice right hand. But another round for Helenius.
Boy, that was the big right hand. Here it is, Sprott. Oh, man.
It's a nice punch.
Very good punch.
Linie gehen, nicht so weit raus.
Okay. And I made a point earlier about the body shot, the body jab, being a very, very bad move for a fighter. Look here. You see that? His hand was low. He was totally exposed. If he did that to Vladimir Klitschko, he'd be in real, real trouble.
Schön aufpassen. Nicht müde unter seiner Verteidigung.
So we're headed to the 4th round, scheduled for 10. Non-title fight. Robert Helenius, Michael Sprott, Bruce Beck, Lou DiBella with you at G-Tech Arena in Magdeburg, Germany. And Sprott's got his game plan, and his game plan is to somehow land a bomb.
No, also to try to rough him up like he just did there with, a couple little rabbit punches.
Frustrate him a little.
Yeah, frustrate him a little bit, but also he's still causing the big man to back up, which is puzzling me.
You know what? He may have seen some stuff that Chisora did to Helenius. Rough him up. Take him out of his game. And here's
that was a decent combination.
Another chance for Sprott as he gets aggressive.
Now, granted, Helenius is pretty pale, but look how reddened his face is already. And he has not eaten that many punches. But Chisora's landed a few hard punches, and maybe the hardest punches of the fight.
Sprott. Oh, goes upstairs with a left hook.
Yeah, I meant Sprott. Thanks for correcting me, Chris.
No problem. Ooh, he went for a bomb there with a left hand and missed, and now roughing up Helenius. Let's see if that coaxes Helenius to be more aggressive. Now Sprott's getting a little wild by lunging, but hey, I think it takes Helenius out of any rhythm to throw jabs and play a boxer punch and roll. Oh, right hand by Sprott, followed by a left.
Look, Sprott's going for the home run ball. Right now, he's just throwing bombs, trying to see if one of them connects.
Ooh. He's got that left hook ready to go.
Well, he's looking for a Hail Mary.
He could get knocked out easily by throwing those Hail Marys, but right now he's doing some damage. And Helenius yet to take advantage of those lunging punches. There's a combination by Helenius and a right hand.
That was Helenius' best combination of the fight.
Punctuated by the straight right.
This is dominant in terms of rounds. He's won probably every minute of the fight just about, Helenius, but it's sort of a fight where Sprott's not out of it yet.
No, he's not. It's almost like there's a danger factor here, and it looms all the time because Sprott's got, in his mind, the one-punch knockout thinking. And Sprott's doing what he's supposed to do, be an opponent.
And Helenius is a little less active right now. I mean, he seems a little winded to me this round. And he's continually backing up, which I just don't like.
And Sprott's getting a little bit of confidence in there as Helenius counters with the right. Final seconds of the round, back to the body.
Body shot there by Sprott.
That right hand didn't have much on it for Helenius. He had him open, and it was like a flat-footed straight right hand.
You know what's interesting, though? Sprott sort of looked exhausted walking back to his corner there. Now, granted, I think that he probably didn't expect to be fighting at this pace.
You punch with two hands.
He may not have expected to still be standing in the 5th round.
Very possibly true.
I want you punching straight.
Yeah.
Every time you go, well, can you miss him, all right? All right? You've got to go.
Mouth wide up, open, huffing and puffing right now.
Won that round, but only by
Michael Sprott.
That's the first round you won. You've got to start winning some rounds back. All right?
Yeah. All right. Okay, so let's believe in yourself.
5th round coming up. Yeah, 5th round. Come on, show something
And
you've got.
don't take silly shots.
Yeah.
Move the top and come back in straight punches, all right?
Yeah.
But we've got to keep winning the round. That's the first one we won.
He's
And
right.
You mean it. You mean it.
That's Chief Second Jim Evans. I think he's right. I think he did win that round.
Come on, you do your thing. Come on.
Come on, let's get in.
Well, if he won the round, he won it right here with this sequence. It was a big miss.
He missed a couple of wild punches
it was a big miss
in that
right there.
round and throughout the fight.
And by the way, I did give that round to Helenius. I just don't think that Sprott's landing enough to win any round.
I gave that round to Sprott. Round number 5 scheduled for 10. Helenius back to the jab. Oh, a right hand by Sprott.
Nice combination there by Sprott.
And Sprott can be bold. If Helenius isn't going to put power into those punches, he can take a chance. Sprott gets through again with his left. Here's a look at the total punches from the last round. And now you've got both guys landing 25. So Sprott with his best round of the fight, no doubt, whether you gave it to him or not. Helenius with a combination. It's still Sprott doing a pretty good job in ring generalship for a guy who's supposed to be the opponent.
Yeah, well, I mean, Helenius is letting him do that. And by the way, the jab has disappeared this round.
He gets through a double jab of his own.
Double jab by Sprott. But where's Helenius' jab this round? And why is he backing up to Michael Sprott?
Right hand by Helenius.
By not working that jab, he's also allowing Sprott to get a little bit of a breather here. You know, Helenius is not putting anything on Sprott right now. So even where Sprott's not landing, this is a guy not used to getting into the late rounds and being competitive. He's been given an opportunity to take a breather here because Helenius isn't throwing anything. And
Sprott's done a good job in taking Helenius out of his game and making him load up rather than throwing the jab and dictating the fight. Under a minute in the 5th round. Helenius has not thrown many punches in this round.
Now I'm giving a round to Sprott. Unless Helenius does something dramatic in the last 40 seconds, he's losing this round because he hasn't done anything.
Helenius backing up again. There's a combination.
Most of them on the arms. There was a combination.
It was a tapping right hand. It wasn't like a strong, hard right, straight right. Early on, he was putting those punches in bunches.
Nice combination from Sprott at the end of the round.
And a good digging body blow by Sprott. Helenius backs him up, but couldn't even get through the leather in Sprott's defense there. So another solid round, I think, for Sprott.
I'll be honest with you, I don't think it was a great round by either guy. But for having the temerity to do so little, I'm giving that round to Michael Sprott. I mean the temerity on the part of Helenius.
Helenius loses it more than Sprott wins it.
Exactly. And, you know, we talked earlier about what Helenius had to do tonight, what his purpose was being here tonight. So far, he's not doing it.
It was far beyond just trying to win this fight. He's got to prove something coming off his last fight over Sherman Williams, which was a decision, but not impressive. And the one before that to Derek Chisora, where he won a split decision, but Chisora clearly won the fight. The last time he really looked good was against Sergey Lahovich. That was a TKO in the 9th round in Erfurt for the WBA Intercontinental title. We saw that fight on Epics, and he looked good.
Look, a very old Tony the Tiger Thompson just upset the apple cart by beating David Price. What would happen tonight if Helenius was in there with Tony Thompson?
Crisp jab thrown there by Sprott. Tony looked like a young 41 in his last fight. A right hand landed by Michael Sprott. And another one. And Helenius has some redness under both eyes now, and the cheeks. And Sprott is getting more and more confidence as this fight's going on. And he's got Helenius bewildered here in these middle rounds. Here are the punches from the last round as Helenius doubles up on a jab finally. 74 punches thrown by Helenius, 49 for Sprott, landing almost the same amount of punches. Sprott tried to land an enormous right, didn't work out.
You know, when you miss punches like that, it takes an enormous amount of energy out of you. I mean, you know, he's got to be more effective, and his corner told him that. Stop throwing the wild haymakers. Try to make your punches straighter, because that's really, he's got to land a straight punch to win this fight.
Better round round for Helenius now, throwing the jab again.
Better round for Helenius or worse round for Sprott?
I think a little bit better for Helenius. Sprott lunging to get another left in there.
Landed, not flush, but landed.
Yeah, I don't think it was flush. Helenius counters.
He's starting to land his left a little bit now, Sprott.
Sprott's winning some rounds with this philosophy of going for a knockout. How unusual is that? Another left hook and back to the body for Sprott. That was a good combination. Upstairs, downstairs.
You know, I'm a little stunned right now by how little Helenius is doing. And by the way, where is the jab? Why isn't he throwing it right now?
Well, that was 3 straight jabs. Not much on it. And Sprott goes to the body and then goes back to the head. Time taken. As the referee, Ingo Barvis, gets those trunks back up, and Sprott responds with a right. Just missed a big right there. Helenius lands a right hand, and that's the bell.
And he landed that right hand because Sprott tried to throw a wild punch that missed.
He's got to do a better job of trying to find that opening.
No, he's got to do a better job when he finds an opening of trying to put a straight punch out there. Everything he's throwing is just a wild haymaker. And frankly, it's because he has that opponent's mentality. You know, he's been conditioned to believe that he's not supposed to win.
Yeah, now we're see the mouse under that right eye now.
And we're about to see, I think, a highlight of where Sprott did score in this last round.
He just missed with that right hand.
Oh, shit.
And he landed on the chest there.
Immer souverän bleiben, keine Einzelfehler. Schön, Babab 1-2 wieder. Kopf an gerade.
I don't think that Uli Wegner is happy.
I don't know how he could be.
And he's the kind of guy that can light a fire under a fighter. I asked Helenius at our fighter meeting the other day if he gets along with Uli. He goes, I listen to him, but I don't always agree, but I have to listen. He should listen to him.
Look, I have Helenius up in this fight 5-1. Maybe it's 4-2, probably 5-1. But if you look at the two guys' faces, you might have a different idea of who's winning.
I thought the first round maybe was going to be the end of the fight. You know, Helenius was just dominating, and Sprott was, as you said, dry. And all of a sudden, Sprott got some confidence. And now Helenius has not been aggressive.
Well, he's starting to jab again in this round, which if he's not going to be aggressive effectively, he at least needs to pop that jab out there. So right now, throwing jabs, do it. Do it, because you have to worry about winning the fight and keeping this guy off you.
Total punches thus far in the fight from CompuBox. 115 landed for Helenius, 100 for Sprott. Helenius has thrown much more. And that's 20 punches more than the heavyweight average. So
yeah, but he's not landing at such a great clip.
And they haven't been ferocious either. Here's Sprott going to the body. He's got Helenius backed up. Sprott is fighting a smart fight.
He's fighting the only fight he can fight, so I guess I give him credit for fighting a smart fight. Helenius is making it easy for him to be sticking around.
Sprott lunging in there with a right hand. Now Helenius counters.
That was the best combination.
Good three-punch combination, punctuated by the straight right hand to the head.
That was a good combination, one of the best in recent rounds for Helenius.
Oh, he got him with the left, doubled up. A short left hook by Helenius.
I think I actually might have hurt him a little bit.
Another right hand by Helenius. Is Sprott tiring a little bit?
He looks exhausted. He actually looks like his legs are going a bit.
He's got that little look in his eyes, too, as his trunks fall down again. That gives him a little break.
You know, if the tide turns just a little bit in this fight, you might see Michael Sprott fold the tent. I hate to say that, but you know what? When a guy has an opponent mentality, has been used the way Sprott has in the recent years of his career, if the tide turns just a little bit, you might see a very different Michael Sprott. Let's see.
Helenius back with the jab, but circles to his left. Going backwards a little bit.
Still was a better round for Helenius than most of the last few.
7 rounds in the book. I never thought I would say that in this fight.
Well, not surprisingly, Sprott needs a knockout to win at this point, in my view.
This is the end of the road. This is your last fight tonight with me, mate, because you're fucking at it. And me. You're fucked. And me. Right? So you've got to go out there.
Very nice left hand there. Right there. Nice left hand. Another one.
All right? I'm not being messed about, but you know, you've got to go.
And that's where Sprott looked a little dazed.
Yeah, he did, and because he got hit with 3 good left hands, one of which followed a jab. That was a good sequence for Helenius. Why isn't he doing more of that? He's got the right guy in front of him for that. Do more of that.
It's all over, mate. It's all over. What do you want to fucking do?
And Sprott turned away, and Helenius got that left hook in there.
What round is this?
Fucking round 8. Round 8. 2 more rounds.
What round is this?
8.
Right. Drive yourself now. Right, here we go. Come on.
Does anybody in that corner know what round it is? All right, here we go. 8 rounds. Beginning of the 8th. At the G-Tech Arena here in Magdeburg, Germany. Bruce Beck, Lou DiBella on the call for Epics. Michael Sprott, perennial challenger or opponent, whatever you want to say, against Robert Helenius, who's trying to make a statement in the heavyweight division.
I'd say opponent, not challenger.
I agree. Combination by Helenius. Gets through with the jab. Now Sprott landing a right. It's not like Helenius is walking around the ring saying, you're in my place and I'm the guy that's going to be the champ someday. He doesn't give you those vibes.
Not at all. And he hasn't in any fight I've seen him in recent years, and it's been a long time since I've seen that out of him, probably since the Samuel Peter fight.
Throw the jab. There's the right hand. Combination by Helenius landed. Sprott looking for the one-punch knockout again. The lunging left hook. Didn't land it.
Sprott looks a little bit more discouraged, a little bit less active.
If you're wondering what round it is, that's not a good sign.
Sort of suggests maybe he'd like a way out. But you know what? Helenius isn't giving it to him. So far, Bruce, nightmare or NyQuil?
More NyQuil than nightmare. Somewhere in the middle, perhaps. Here's the jab from Helenius. Helenius throwing a lot of those jabs to the body. Sprott's footwork has been erratic, but he's going for those one-punch knockouts, so it's going to make you look awkward.
You know what? I really don't want to see Robert Helenius again unless he's fighting a legitimate top 10 heavyweight. Maybe that's a nasty comment by me, but I just don't. I don't want to see him again unless he's fighting a real top 10 heavyweight.
Good stiff jab by Helenius. Good
followed
solid
by a nice right hand.
Back to the body with that jab. Upstairs, back-to-back punches. Doubling up on the jab. Here he is. Very accurate with the jab at the end of that round. And if you're puzzled as to why he's not throwing it more often, I don't have an answer.
I don't know. I think Sprott's sort of emotionally checked out of this fight a little bit right now. I mean, he's not the same guy he was a couple of rounds ago. I think he knows he's way, way down in the scorecards. The likelihood of landing that one punch is greatly decreased. I'd like to see Helenius, at least now, 9th, 10th round, I'd like to see him go for it. Go for it. Take some chance. Take a little bit of chance. Take a little bit of risk. Try to hurt the other guy.
It's also the only way he can lose, though, Lou, probably.
You know what? If he wins this fight the way he fought most of it, he is losing.
Mensch, komm her. So fleißig trainiert, Mann.
Fans, at least.
Zieh doch mal auf und sagen runter, Mann. Wenn du haust, triffst du doch. Hier ganz locker und sicher sein. Fang hier an zu spielen hier.
I think that Uli Wegner is not happy with him, although he walks around the hotel the same way, so it's hard to judge. Round number 9. Scheduled for 10. Helenius finished up very strongly at the end of that round. Let's see if he follows through.
I don't think Sprott has much left in the tank right now.
He did what he was supposed to do in the early rounds and in the middle rounds.
Now again, why is Helenius backing up? Where is the jab?
The output was significantly less in that last round in terms of total punches.
Well, the output by Sprott was way, way less. Only 11 punches landed, only 41 thrown. So
totally gassed.
Yeah, I think he's, like I said, I think he's sort of a little bit checked out right now.
He doubled up there with the left hand. He actually threw a jab. Helenius got through with a straight right.
See, I think Helenius should be taking greater advantage right now of Sprott's fatigue. You know, I'd like to see him be taking advantage of it, back Sprott up, put him against the ropes, and let us see what you can do. Throw a combination. You're a giant. Fight like a mean one. Bruce, could he just be one of these guys that's just too nice a guy?
I don't know. Maybe somebody else can light a fire under him.
He's got a great trainer.
I've seen him 4 times now. I just think that he doesn't step forward on his jabs, and he's just not active enough as Sprott gets through in a right hand. He had Sprott hurt in the 7th round, but he wasn't able to finish him. And now Helenius lands, gets through the jab. You're almost waiting for that right hand to follow up with a combination. Oh, he did get one in there.
You know, I don't think it has anything to do with being in shape or not being in shape. He looked in better shape than his last fight. He's there, he's fighting, he's throwing. It's almost like a stylistic thing. He's not very aggressive.
Sprott chops away. Helenius 239.5 for this fight, which was less than his last fight. And he's still got plenty of pounds to have power. Sprott chops to the body. Sprott making one more
and Helenius hanging
effort. Helenius got him in the corner here. Oh, Sprott got through with a right hand that scored. So Sprott with a little second win towards the end of that round.
Still Helenius' round, though, I think.
This round, mate, go for broke. Punch it, get your hands up, punch yourself right out, and you've got to do a mile of work. If you don't stop him, you're beat, all right?
There we go. Sprott's corner just said, if you don't stop him, you're beaten.
It's as simple as that, mate.
That's the correct advice to be given the fighter.
All right? Feel all right? Got it in your tank?
I'll go in tank.
You've got to go, mate. You've got to go. Don't shoot.
Sag mal. Was? Oh, mit deinem Scheiß an. Hast immer was. Mann, gib her hier. Junge. Schön sicher trotzdem bleiben, nicht verletzt werden. Und mal rechts rüber geben mehr, ja?
One more round. Robert Helenius and Michael Sprott here in Magdeburg, Germany. Will Sprott go for the home run? Will Helenius try to finish him? Can he? He's clearly in front in this fight.
Ooh,
as Sprott
right
comes
hand
in
landed.
again that hurt Helenius there.
Oh, he landed it right
Sprott
hand.
got a left hook
It was a
in
left
there.
hook. Lunging left hook.
Sprott knows what he has to do, and he's trying to do it.
And the referee's trying to stop him.
Whatever it takes.
The referee is really messing with Sprott's momentum in this round.
Sprott tried the body that time. He's been trying to get to the head with that lunging left hook most of the fight. And now Helenius doing what he should be doing, throwing the jab, keep him at bay, and at this point just secure the win. Wait for another day. There's a little bit of a combination from Helenius. Sprott, uppercut, right hand.
Nice body shot landed for Sprott. Well, obviously, Helenius is not trying to end it here. He's content to take that big points victory he's likely to get.
90 seconds left. You hear the corner yelling to Sprott, Michael, you've got to do it. You've got to make a move.
He's got about a minute left to try to do something.
Sprott has tried throughout this fight. Give him credit.
No, you see, he really has. I mean, I think he was discouraged at moments, but he's fought to...
Oh, Helenius got hit below the belt. He apologizes, but Helenius will get a little bit of time if he needs it here. Helenius says he's okay after that low blow. And Sprott, not letting him relax, goes right after him again. Helenius doing what he needs to do, throw the jab.
All he needs to do right now is stay away, frankly.
There's a little combination by Helenius, followed up by a jab. Sprott tries again for a knockout. Helenius does what he has to do, which is tie him up. Final seconds of the 10th round. Will Sprott try one more time? That's it. Well, I scored it 8 rounds to 2 for Helenius, but a decision tonight is not going to do it. Not for the critics, not for his confidence, not for those that are looking at him to be a contender for the throne.
Like I said it earlier, I do not want to see him again unless he's tested to the max. I mean, it's just... This kind of fight is not helping Robert Helenius, and neither did the fight against Sherman Williams. And frankly, since Chisora, you know, he was healthy for this fight. He was fit. He had no complaints before this fight. He said, "This is the best condition I have been in years." And yet again, there was no fire. There was no passion in that ring. He doesn't fight with passion.
I had it 98-92. I don't know if it'll be more one-sided than that.
It could be. I mean, it could be.
That's Helenius' wife that you keep seeing.
It could be 9 rounds to 1. I mean, but it just doesn't matter. He's still he may have won the battle, but if the war was to show that he belongs in the ring with Vladimir or Vitaly Klitschko, I don't think he accomplished that tonight. Nor do I think this Robert Helenius would beat a trial horse contender like a Tony Thompson. I think if he was in the ring with Tony Thompson tonight, put out the same effort, the same thing would have happened that happened to David Price.
Both Sherman Williams and tonight Michael Sprott did what they had to do as challengers or opponents, okay?
Yeah.
As opponents, they came in, they put on a show, they were competitive.
And they lost.
And they lost.
Exactly. He did what he had to do to earn himself another payday as an opponent.
But this guy tried to win. He went for the knockout on numerous occasions. Maybe he just doesn't have it.
Well, I don't think there's any doubt that he doesn't have it. But you know, tonight he gave a good accord of himself. He put out what he had and made Helenius work. And frankly, exposed Helenius as maybe a pretender for one of the Klitschko's belts. Because right now, I really don't see him beating a top 6 or 7 heavyweight.
Meine Damen und Herren, hier kommt das offizielle Urteil. Norbert Dürnberger wertet den Kampf 98:93. Jörg Mielke 97:93 und Rainer Schwarz 98:93. Alle drei einstimmig für Robert Helenius.
So Robert Helenius wins by unanimous decision. Not surprising, but not the fight that he wanted, nor his handlers wanted, as he takes care of Michael Sprott, who did what he was supposed to do, serve as a solid opponent.
I'd like to see Helenius in with Deontay Wilder, for example.
Here's the final numbers. Helenius landing 205 total punches to 148. He threw almost twice as many, 735 to 472, but you can see that Sprott actually had a higher percentage in the fight. And here are the jabs. Helenius started well with the jab, but abandoned it. 128. He should have thrown 250.
You know, we saw a women's bout in its entirety earlier that Epic's boxing fans are going to get to see some highlights of. It's too bad they didn't get to see that one in its entirety.
Here are the power punches, Lou, 77 to 65. So Sprott was right there with the power punches. 77 landed to 65, almost the same amount thrown.
And he never had Sprott really badly hurt.